what was the actual decision to come to New Zealand?
The decision to come to New Zealand was actually to build a better life.
Yeah.
Being gay in South Africa was a bit of a tough one. So my partner and I then decided to move to New Zealand to build a better life together. We heard New Zealand was great, and hopped on a plane, and here we landed.
Yeah. How long ago was that?
That was in 2008.
2008. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's quite some time ago now, eh? And I guess the world has changed so much even since 2008 as well. So back in South Africa, you were involved in the same industry?
Yeah. Well, back in Durban in South Africa, my dad used to manage an amusement park, pretty much like Rainbow's End, but this one was on the beachfront.
Yeah.
And I used to go there as a child and growing up all the time. And I used to always admire all the hotels on the Golden Mile. And people used to say, hey, I want to be a firefighter, a doctor, or whatever. But I was like, I really just want to work in these fancy hotels. I used to see their suits and how they dressed up. And just so happened that the day that I finished school, the next day I was offered a full-time job at a hotel.
Wow.
So that was a bit of a blessing, and that's how my journey started in hotels.
So literally straight out of school, you start working in hotels?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Did you have to do any sort of formal training, or was it just learning on the job?
One of the ladies that was working at the hotels knew my dad and knew me, and she said that she saw something in me, the way I spoke, the way I interacted with people, and she just wanted me to come straight onto reception, which is what I did, and I just felt in my element.
And so I guess if you look back from where you started to where you're at now, how has your own personality evolved through that time? Because you're a big personality, a magnetic personality. Was it always like that, or have you learned and evolved it over the time?
Learned definitely over time. I had to build confidence.
Sorry, Neil. That just sounds like such a load of shit to me. It's like, really? Confident guy.
Building confidence was actually a huge challenge which I had to overcome.
Wow.
And the reason for that was being majorly bullied in school brought me down into a dark space. So bringing myself out, trying to be who I am in South Africa was a bit of a tough one. So I managed to speak up and be the confident person to an extent without portraying that I'm gay. Because as I said, it is a bit tough being gay in South Africa. You'd be judged, the community, families, etc. So just being fun, friendly, that's my main focus. Was my main focus.
Because you wouldn't know all those things now, knowing you for a couple of years now, and it's like, gee, the journey that a lot of people take throughout their life growing up, growing out of time in school, and then because I guess with school it's very structured, and there's a whole lot of conformity to a whole lot of normal behaviour or just ways of acting. You've got the sporty, the jocks, and then you've got the cheerleaders, and you've got
pretty
the nerds,
much just like the movies.
Yeah, it is like the movies, right? Yeah. And so you have an even bigger uphill battle, I guess, to break out of that. Do you think the hotel and hospitality industry has been conducive to that? Because you're always dealing with people. You get so much practice. Like every person that you interact with is like a chance to improve, I guess. Is it an industry that sort of promotes that?
100% agree. You meet people from different walks of life, and you have to have a thick skin in this industry because you need to adapt yourself to the person in front of you, but still be you, which is not a skill that everybody can have. But it's just me.
Can you see when someone's not actually being like their true self? Like, you can spot it. You go, oh, that's a bit of a mask that person's wearing.
I think I've developed a technique on talking to people, and I tend to see when people move their eyes away, look down, I know something's up, and I just give them what they need. Whereas other people start off a conversation, want to know more, and those are the ones that you get to dive in and just see what they're about, who they are, why they're here.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And so okay, we go from there. We go to arriving in New Zealand. Like, what was the big sort of, I guess, the cultural change, or what were the big differences when you arrived in New Zealand?
What a culture shock!
Yeah.
Firstly, embarrassed to admit that my geography skills was shocking because I thought we were going to somewhere in Europe, and I'm like, where is New Zealand?
Right.
Like, I was going to take a train and go to Paris.
Yeah.
And my partner then was like, do you know where New Zealand is? And I'm like, yeah, it's there somewhere. And he was like, no, it's there somewhere. And I was like, whoa.
You're like, man, it's a big train.
It happened like on the day that we were paying for our plane ticket.
Yep.
And I just swiped my card while then figuring out where New Zealand is.
Yeah.
But by then it was too late. But arriving in New Zealand, beautiful, cold, but beautiful.
Yep.
And just seeing the people and the diversity
Mm.
was just amazing.
Mm.
And once again, culture shock, being away from home, never left home in my life, never lived abroad or even visited abroad.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So just landing here thousands of miles away, it was interesting.
What was the sort of the first thing that you noticed about New Zealand that was really different, or maybe suited you more, or you resonated a bit more with?
The main difference that I noticed is driving from the airport to where we were staying back then, which was Henderson, was looking around and seeing there aren't any burglar guards or walls, large walls around houses. I was
Right.
like, wow, everything's so open. And then I saw people walking on the street, and I was like, wow, everybody's so carefree, safe.
Yeah.
I think coming from South Africa, the main thing people notice is safety.
Right.
I really admired that, and when I used to go out for walks in the afternoon, just felt safe.
Did that feel a bit strange, like being able to just walk out your door and go for a walk and not feel like you're going to be bloody mugged or carjacked or something like that?
Took a while to get used to.
Yeah.
But after a while, it just became a way of life.
Mm.
And New Zealand is proud. Well, I'm proud to be in New Zealand because of one of those aspects.
That's cool. So how long did it take you to actually get a job here? Like, did it happen quickly, or was it a bit of a, could you pick and choose at that time in the market? Because that was pretty much like recession time for New Zealand. It was global financial crisis from memory.
It was recession time. However, when I put myself out there, I had 3 job offers that came through. Didn't know much about New Zealand, didn't know much about the hotels in New Zealand. All I know was that I was offered 3 jobs, and I chose the one which was closest to the bus stop.
Oh, yeah.
And that was my deciding factor.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And I ended up staying with that same company for 9 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the bus stop didn't move in that time. It all worked out really well.
Managed to get a car in that time.
Sweet. So 9 years. Was that City Life?
It was the Heritage Hotel
Heritage,
Group.
right. Yeah, okay.
So I started off as the telephone operator at the Heritage Hotel on Hobson Street for an entire year because I never really spoke to people. I was a very closed introvert.
Again, bullshit now. I can't imagine you being a closed introvert. Anyway.
The receptionist, everybody, concierge team thought that I was just a rude person because I used to just come to work, put my head down, get my work done in the office and leave.
Really?
Never made friends, never spoke to anybody, very minimal conversation. And it was all because of the culture shock and also missing home so much. And,
you get homesick, right?
Now I realize when I look back, wow, mental health was a huge part to play.
Yep.
And I didn't know what I was dealing with, but I pushed through.
Because it wasn't really a thing back then. Well, it was, but it wasn't as I guess as prominent as it is now. And
100%.
it's a lot more sort of front of mind. Like, when people ask how you're feeling, people didn't even ask how you're feeling back in those days. They were just like harden up and get on with it type thing. And if you talked about it, it was considered a weakness, but now it's considered a massive strength. And so, how did you deal with that?
I spoke about it. Family helped me a lot because they convinced me to keep staying. There were many times where I just wanted to pack my bags up and leave New Zealand because I didn't know how to deal with things. But communication, talking about things, now I know, helps a lot. So therefore I always promote people, talk about your feelings, don't be shameful about it.
Yeah, totally, man. And it's in the workplace as well, we see it. And it's about just, I guess, being there. It's another function that we need to, I guess, be wary of as colleagues and business owners and directors and things. We've got to be, we've got to take that into consideration. If someone's having a bad day or not feeling too good, get alongside them and just say, "Oh, how you going?" Like try and read those cues, I guess.
100%
Yeah,
agree.
yeah. And so, what was the main thing that you noticed going from like the South African hotel industry to New Zealand? Because I imagine there'd be differences, and I imagine they'd be quite significant. Like, was South Africa more like, was it a different level, like a higher level of service?
The different level that I faced was I worked in a resort.
Right.
So very beach vibe, relaxed. Everybody's there on holiday, sand, surf, sun.
God, sounds perfect. Yeah, idyllic.
Whereas coming to New Zealand, structured, corporate, business,
Mm.
and that was difficult for me. I was like, nobody wants to stop and talk. People that are talking really fast.
Right.
Just New Zealand language, trying to understand
Trying to
the
understand it.
lingo in between as well.
Mm.
Not knowing who the All Blacks were.
Oh, jeez, come on, really? South Africa's a pretty rugby mad nation, isn't it?
Unfortunately, sports and me don't mix oil
Right.
and water.
Yeah.
So when I met Sonny Bill Williams, I didn't know who he was. I was like, may I have your ID? Why do you need a key?
Yeah.
My manager was like, just give him the keys. Who is he? Rather good looking man. Who is he?
People just, everyone else would be sitting at the counter just like, ogling him, and you're just like, who's
And
this
here I
guy?
am holding his ID.
Yeah.
So that was quite a memorable moment.
Yeah. Because I guess the Heritage Hotel was well known as where the All Blacks stayed. I don't know if
Home
they
of
still
the All
stay
Blacks.
home of the All Blacks. Yeah. So you'd get to see them, up close and personal. Because they're there sort of, for several weeks throughout the year and that sort of thing. Yeah. Did you get to meet any of them?
All of them.
Yeah.
Got to meet them, got to know their families. They became just a regular guest to us.
Yeah, and I reckon that's the cool thing, is you actually see them as people. You don't see them as like All Black, like whatever, they're celebrity or whatever. They are just people at the end of the day.
Beautiful people.
Yeah.
People.
Yeah, and they like to be treated like people too. They don't like to be, well, some of them like to be, held up on pedestals and things, but yeah, I guess they like that natural way of being treated, and they appreciate that. Yeah. So then how do you think customer service has evolved over the time from when you, maybe there's two parts there, when say from when you first started,
Yep.
and then when you came to New Zealand, and then when you came to New Zealand, and then to now, like how has it evolved in your eyes?
When you think about going into a luxury hotel, the first thing that goes to most people's mind is suit, top hat, somebody's opening the door for you, you're walking into something opulent. You're getting the generic service. Now it's more of a genuine service. And that's the main difference. You may still have a suit, but it's the thought that counts. You get to experience the genuineness of things. And for me, that's 5-star.
So when you say genuine, is it necessarily, well, you say it's not out of a book. It doesn't feel like it's out of a book or out of a structure. It's maybe something personalised that the staff do for you, or that the person you're interacting does for you. Like would it be a personalised level of service?
100% personalised level. Whereas you would go first to the driver's door to open the door for the driver if they pull into the driveway. But I would go first to the kids, because parents love their kids, appreciate the kids, bring them to the building, or grab the wife's handbag or the husband's handbag or anybody's handbag. It's just that level of attention to detail, knowing where your priorities are, and running with it. Just be confident about it.
It's the thing about the kids is a crack up, because it's I've heard that's how a really good salesperson sells to the kids. It's if they're in a shop or selling a house or something, they're like, "Hey kids, what do you think about this house?" And the kids are like, "We love it," and the parents are like, "Oh shit, we better love it too," And it's knowing that, I think, and just knowing those little tricks of the trade, and being able to, you get the kids on board and you get the rest of the family on board too.
That is very true. Of course, the team culture plays a huge aspect in it, because when you have a great team backing you, you get to just be you, and the team gets to be them, and the guests recognize it when people are not just standing there for the sake of being there, but genuinely want to be there.
Yeah. So when say as a hotel guest, you turn up to the hotel, and I guess there's several people that you interact with along the way. Like as soon as you drive up there, you're interacting with maybe the valet parking, and then you go to they grab your bags and you go to the desk. Is that team that you're talking about? Like, is that the how would you describe it?
Streamlined process to make things as easy and seamless as possible for the guest, but still trying to provide the amazing customer service where you become memorable. And that is the challenge working in a hotel, because you have those few seconds or minutes to put yourself out there to become that memorable person.
Because what is the actual goal, like from if you're operating a hotel, like what is your actual goal with regards to your guests? Like, is there a specific sort of thing that you go, we've got to do this because we need to make them feel a certain way, or what is the actual goal from a customer service point of view?
From a customer point of view, you want to make sure that they are leaving happy, because in one of the previous podcasts Jay had mentioned, which I resonated with, that you may leave a bottle of wine in the room, you may leave some chocolates, but the way that you made the person feel is what they're going to be taking away with them, as opposed to what was given to them. From a business point of view, it's the 5-star review.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, so you want to get that review on what TripAdvisor or Google or wherever it is. That was I remember that point actually that Jay was discussing, because I think he asked the question about like when was the last time we went overseas, and he said, what seat did you sit in? And I was like, I don't know, and he said that's right, because you weren't focused on the seat. It was like how you were being treated at the time. Do you think it's more important to arrive in a good mood or leave a hotel in a good mood? Good mood.
Leaving the hotel in a good mood.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I used to always make that my challenge.
Yeah.
All my team used to tell me, this person is upset, this person is mad, this person is angry, and I used to zone in on that person and like, I'm going to make this my mission to change their mood around, whatever it takes. Yeah,
because checkout can be quite a busy time in a hotel. If everyone's having to check out, like say between 10 and 11 or whatever, that can be quite a busy time where there is an opportunity to get flustered. I mean, people arrive at an airport usually at a hotel, usually from the airport or in some sort of transfer. They might be a bit stressed.
Yep.
How do you sort of pick up on those cues? Like, are they, apart from the glaringly obvious, they're all standing there like pissed off or whatever, but are there certain cues that you pick up on and sort of zero in on to attend to?
Body language speaks volumes. Somebody's just lugging a bunch of bags, just head over there and help them. You don't have to stand behind the desk. Somebody's just flustered on their phone trying to find their reservation. It's okay. We're here to help you. Those little things go a long way. Makes them immediately feel calm and feel as if, okay, let's take a moment. We're at the right place.
Yeah, nice. So as a professional, do you ever get critical of going to hotels and things like that? And do you sort of like, not pick, but do you go, I wouldn't have done that, or that's a good tip, I'll remember that? Are you sort of like quite judgy when it comes to that sort of thing?
No, I'm not judging. I just take my white glove and I'm like, top of the railing of the curtain where nobody's going to look at is dirty. I'm very forgiving. I definitely look at customer service, not just in hotels, but in all avenues, whether it's at the supermarket, whether it's at McDonald's. Yes, I go to McDonald's. Or luxury hotels. I get to experience people as opposed to experience the place. And I get to see who is delivering this service. I get to try to remember their name. I get to write about it. By me doing that, gives them a sense of purpose.
Because I don't think everyone is naturally good at customer service, right? I think you get people that, like yourself, you understand it so like bone deep that it just happens for you. Whereas some people you can see them like literally thinking through a process, and they're doing a job essentially. Would you agree with that? Like there's certain people that are just not, I guess, natural in the environment as opposed to others that are natural.
100% agree.
Yeah.
Perfect example. If you had to walk into the reception desk and somebody who's just generic would be like, hi there, may I have your surname, checking you in. Whereas somebody who's genuine about it would be like, well, you're obviously a wrestler or a bodybuilder. May I have your last name? And I'm sorry for not getting it in advance.
Yeah, it's the ability to have that bit of a yarn, and just like, I guess it'd be a challenge, like not to say the same thing to every customer, right? Because that would be, it'd drive you nuts as a human, like having to just say the same thing. But you've got to have fun with it too, right? You've got to be able to go, oh well, I'm gonna make this person's day, or I'm gonna make them remember me. Yeah. You're very good at that. Like I think having watched you work, you always find a personal angle to to approach people with. Like, is that a natural thing for you?
I think it's one of the perks, forgive me if I'm saying this wrong, of
Yeah.
being gay, because I get to cross certain lines,
Yeah.
but in a fun way,
Yeah.
whereas other people may take it as being derogatory or uncomfortable. But I laugh about it, and I make it fun, and I make it personal, and without the ugliness of it.
Yeah. The perks of being gay. Yeah, good on you, man. Like, no one else, I don't get those perks. Gee, we actually have to try. So how have you found going from hotels, and we'll talk a little bit about that movement from the hotels into like Pacifica with the residential concept. How have you found that, I guess, that difference in working environment? Because it is quite different.
It is.
And I think the main thing that I pick up on is that your hotels, you're dealing with people coming and going pretty much every day, whereas in the residential side, you're seeing the same people every day. Yeah. How have you found that, and how have you found, like, and actually, how did you end up getting into the role that you're in now? Let's talk about that little journey there, because that's quite interesting.
Always been working in hotels, and did the opening of 2 amazing 5-star hotels here in Auckland. Had my eye on the Pacifica being built as one of the tallest residential structures. And knowing me, always want to look at what's out there, what's the new fancy thing that's happening, how can I be a part of it. Applied for a part-time position at Pacifica.
Because that was during COVID, right?
That was during COVID, and the hospitality industry was unfortunately hit really badly, and I was being made redundant.
Sheesh.
So
Yeah.
applied for a part-time position, thought about it for a bit, spoke about Pacifica, got the job at Pacifica. Once joining, discovered feels like a hotel, but it's not a hotel. It's running like a hotel, but still not a hotel. But it's really beautiful. People are coming through. People want a sense of belonging, but this is their home. So I thought to myself, how do I turn this around? Hence, starting from scratch, from day 0 when the building first opened its doors with the very first customer, or should I say owner, walking in,
Owner, yeah.
stopping them, like, hi, my name's Neil. And up to this day, those specific owners remember me by saying that you remembered us before we even came to the door, because we stayed at Soho Hotel, and you remember that I was celiac. And I was like, I do remember you, because
Holy
I
shit.
remember you were celiac, and
Yeah,
had
yeah.
to arrange a different meal for you.
Wow.
So up to this day, they still remember and talk about it.
That's an interesting point about how you operate. You must have a bloody good memory.
Shocking at times. I try to
Yeah.
push myself by trying to remember all 275 apartments, everybody's names, their kids' names, their pets' names, which cars they drive. Just sometimes somebody pulls up and be like, there's this car parked in the driveway, I don't know whose car it is. Look at the car, I'm like, I know exactly whose car it
Yeah,
is.
such and such from level such and such, and you're like, oh, that's amazing.
It all boils down to just paying attention.
Yeah, paying attention's a big one. Like, totally agree, but also retaining that information too. So that's, I just know you must be a good card player.
And there's times when I do mess up. If somebody comes to the desk who I've been talking to for ages, but you have fun with it.
Yeah.
You'd be like, I need to ask what's your room number again, because as much as I try to remember it all, I can't. So apologies.
Yeah.
They have a big laugh about it.
Yeah.
But that's how you get some information across.
Oh, and like you say, it's everyone has a bit of a slip every now and then with the memory, and so yeah, I'm interested what you said there about the fact that it's feels like a hotel, but it's not a hotel. Looks like a hotel. Have you tried to make it not feel like a hotel? Have you tried to put a bit of a different spin on it, being the fact that it is a home as opposed to a hotel?
Yes. And how I tried to do that was training and development of the team. With a hotel, guests walk in, guests walk out. Reception and concierge is meant to be there to greet every single person. Whereas in a home, some days you have good days, some days you have bad days. You need to recognize when somebody's walking through the door with their head down, let them be. Whereas other people are coming through after work, had a tough day and just want to offload, listen to them. And those are the main differences of making the apartment complex more than just an apartment complex, but your home.
Yeah.
And this is your front door, and you get to experience a luxury service, whether you want to just go straight to the elevator or stop and have a chat.
It's a hell of a front door, like, because it's a beautiful lobby. So it's it's a stunning environment to walk into, and to be greeted with the friendly face of the concierge team there. I'm not going to say people are lucky to live there, but because people have there's obviously a lot of successful people that live in Pacifica, but I think that they. No, in some ways they are a bit lucky, because it's a really nice environment to be part of.
Yep.
And it's been cool to see that that community within the building grow. Like there's they have the various groups and little clubs and things like that, and that's awesome. And like we don't see that very often around other buildings. Like it is starting to happen more and more, but I think Pacifica's really got the jump on a lot of, and I think there's so many like-minded people there that they all get on with each other. They've all got similar interests and things. Have you sort of had a part to play in developing those groups?
It's quite exciting seeing the different types of people, and a perfect example yet again would be a new owner had moved in, and she expressed to me that she loves architecture and art. I remembered another owner who has beautiful artwork in her apartment. Without exposing names and confidentiality, I connected these two people, and now they're best friends.
Oh, wow.
Only because I knew the background and what were their passions. Whereas other people who I know love to go for evening walks, and I've got to know another person that loves to go for evening walks. I'm like, let's get them together to go for evening walks. It's about just driving from the back without being in your face, and just planting these little seeds and just watching them flourish.
Yeah, for sure. That's cool, and it's part of that personalised service. And actually, it's that memory again. It's paying attention. It's like you say, it's connecting people. I mean, that's one of the statements that we have in our mission and vision statement is connecting people in buildings, essentially. So that's a massive part to play, and you've got an environment to do it. Like not every apartment building has that sort of environment, because they don't have a concierge, or they don't have communal spaces to meet or get together. So I think, how do you feel about the whole 5-star hotel versus what we're achieving down at Pacifica with a 5-star residential? Like, have you sort of had to make a couple of clear adjustments to go, we're not a hotel, we're a different concept, and how do we carry the 5-star through that?
I guess the 5-star standard and the luxury elements portray itself in different parts. Example, opening the door for somebody who's carrying some bags out into the driveway. There's no reason for us to do that because it's an apartment building, but we do it because it's an element of service. Some may say it's a kind service, some may say it's a luxurious service, because you don't find this in any apartment buildings as such. Opening the car door. One thing I hate is if somebody has to ask where's the elevator, never point, but always have open palms. That's little things that goes a long way. But as far as the differences between a hotel and the residential complex, I feel people appreciate the level of service. Feels like you're living in a hotel, and who doesn't love living in a hotel? But this is still your home.
Yeah.
Where you get to come down and socialize and build connections.
Well, and I guess the other exciting part is with the restaurant just opening, they'll be able to get bloody food delivered to their door pretty soon, right? So that's one of the features of the restaurant opening.
An amazing feature that everybody raves about. And at the moment, people still come down and just buy stuff from the deli or the restaurant and take it up to their apartments. Ease, accessibility. I mean, it's an entire community just built in there. The only thing we need is just a supermarket, and we're good to go. We don't have to leave Pacifica at all.
I was going to say, it sounds like you don't need to leave home. That's fantastic. Yeah, because I mean, it's got all the facilities, right? It's got gym, pool, sauna, steam. It's got everything that that you expect in a hotel, but it's your home. So yeah, I guess people are pretty lucky to live there. But like I said, they've all worked pretty hard to get there, which is cool. If we just go back to the 5-star thing, because I want to get, and you kind of already touched on it, but I want to get how you've sort of grown your career with 5-star. Like, were you sort of explained it to start with, and was it a concept that you got like straight away, or have you sort of developed your own version of 5-star service?
I've definitely developed my own style of 5-star service. Arriving in New Zealand, working in a luxury hotel, there was a specific way you needed to carry yourself, the way that you needed to speak, walk, everything about it, color of your hair, everything played a part in how you portray the five-star service. Once I've moved into a more fun, rebellious, audacious five-star service, that's when I decided now's the time to shine, where you get to be you, get to show off your tattoos, your earrings, talk about things that's passionate to you. That's when you draw people in, and that's five-star, and I still believe that to this day.
That's cool. I reckon that's a really awesome, like, modern definition of it, because historically it's been a lot of the things you were talking about, but now it's that it's looking at people for who they are and celebrating the quirks, and
100%.
yeah, no, I reckon that's true, man. Because going back employing people over the years, I sort of used to be quite nervous about people with tattoos. I've got tattoos myself, but I was like, oh shit, what if it shows through? But now I'm just like, fuck, everyone's got tattoos, and I'm like, that's cool. Like, everyone's got the sleeves, and just show off your individuality, really. And that's been like that for years now. But I just remember being uptight about it, and I was like, oh, get over it, man. It's everyone, like, people's expectations have shifted. Like, no one's really, it's not as stuffy as it used to be, and everyone's a bit more accepting about people as individuals rather than people as cookie cutter type people and that. So yeah, that's a cool definition, man. Did it take you long to come up with that definition?
I remember being taken to HR and got a written warning because my hair was blonde. And my argument was, it's a color of the hair. Somebody else next to me has blonde hair as well, but I was told it doesn't really go with my skin tone.
Are you fucking serious?
And my eyebrow was raised. They realized what.
Well,
they
my mouth
said.
just dropped open. Bloody hell, really?
But at the end of the day, it's my company where I work. I respect it, so I went and I changed the color of my hair. Now it's a talking point.
Yeah.
It's celebrated.
Yep.
When I moved into the Hotel Britomart, one of the questions asked, my hair's purple. Like, we appreciate it. And it was celebrated. I was like, wow. And that's what, you're a five-star kind of guy.
Yeah, exactly. That's cool. Shit, that sort of made my mouth drop open, that comment about the skin tone. I was like, you really? I guess that's where the world's come from, and man, I'm glad we're not living in that world now. Bloody hell. What a stupid thing to say, eh? Especially from an HR person. Man, that's sad. Because I remember when we first got involved with Pacifica, like, your hair was pink.
Yes.
Yeah. So how many different hair colours have you had over the last 2 years?
A multitude.
A multitude.
Hair colours.
Yeah.
A multitude of hair colours.
Yeah.
Please like and subscribe to my channel. Just kidding. I just enjoy colour.
Yeah.
It's not a reflection of who I am, but more of an extension of just the fun person that I'd like to be. Just bring a bit of colour into the world. Love playing with my hair while, no offense, while I have it.
Oh, yeah. Look who you're talking to, Neil.
Yeah, it's just something fun that I just like doing.
Oh, for sure. And I think it's one of those things that helps people remember who you are. People go, oh, Neil, the guy with the colourful hair. If that's the only interaction I've had with you, they still remember it's something different. Yeah. And so you're quite into the social media side of things too. Like, you're big on, like, your Instagram and all that sort of thing. How is that side of your personality and that developed over the years?
Well, the main reason that I used to use social media was more because I needed to keep in touch with my family abroad. Not having any family here in New Zealand was a bit of a tough one, and that was the main way of getting them to experience your life and vice versa. But as the years went on, I started talking about certain things, showing off certain places, introducing different restaurants. Quite enjoyed it, and it just grew from there. I'm not about how many followers I have, but just mixing and mingling with people, but an online platform.
Yeah, and keeping it pretty real too. Like, I've seen some of your posts and that, and you do go out of your way to reflect the true nature of what you're actually interacting with. You don't try and blow things out of proportion or make things that they aren't. So I think that's and that's coming from me, who's a social media dinosaur who does not use anything like that. But yeah, I think it's cool, man. And it's like you say, it's just another extension, another outlet for you and your personality and stuff. couple of things before we wrap it up. So I want to talk about the TV show. And then we'll talk about the awards that you've been involved with over the years. So let's talk about the TV show first. The one on Bravo. How did you get involved with that, and you know, how's that been for you?
Well, HBO Studios and Stripe Studios came into Pacifica to have a look at the building, being the newest, tallest residential structure, the most expensive in New Zealand. Everything about it was just wow. One of the developers were not available to show them around and asked if I mind showing them the building. So I did, show them around the building, spoke about the building, took them up to the super penthouse, and later on that afternoon got a call to say, hey, how comfortable is the guy with the blue hair? Well, purple hair.
I was going to say, which hair colour was it?
How comfortable is he on camera? And I was like, I'm fine. Would you like to be on the TV show? I'm like, sure.
Yep.
Bucket list. Tick.
Yep.
And so that's how that came about. I did one scene. They were quite happy with the way I spoke and portrayed the building. Just so happened I managed to find another listing, because the TV show is all about high-end real estate in New Zealand. Found another property that went onto the market in Waiheke, and I asked the owners, hey, do you want to be on TV and show off your property? And they were like, okay. So I put them in touch. And so Rich Listers had asked me to come and do a second part to it, where I'm introducing this property. Then asked me to do a third part where I'm being interviewed. Very exciting, very fun, and I just bucket list.
Yeah, for sure. And so do you think you'll be like a regular like guest appearance, or have your own like slot on the show or something?
Well, I would hope so. I really had fun with it.
Yeah.
I love being on camera. I love talking. I love acting. It's just fun.
Which is funny, because when you walked in here, you said, oh, I'm nervous. I'm like, really? I'm not nervous. Yeah, fine. And there is actually a reason why it's the first time we've done this without headphones. I didn't want to, mess up Neil's signature here.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's cool. Is it an ongoing thing with Rich Listers? Is it going to have another series?
They are talking about having a second season. I did speak to one of the directors, and he asked whether I'd be interested in season 2, and I'm like, yeah, definitely interested.
That's awesome, man. That's such a cool opportunity, eh?
However, the one that I'm looking at is Married at First Sight.
Oh, do tell.
Ever since I watched it, I used to watch it for the entertainment value, and then as it went on and on, I was like, I'm sure there must be some theory and realisticness behind all of this. And now it's come to a stage where, being single in New Zealand, online dating, it's just, I'm ready to settle down.
Right.
This is my interview for Married at First Sight.
Straight down the camera. Yeah. So have you actually applied?
No, I don't think they've got a New Zealand version out, a new season out yet. There was one in the past.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, cool. And the other thing I was going to mention was the award-winning Neil. Tell us about your the awards that you've either won or been involved with over the years in the industry.
It's quite exciting. The AICR is an organization for front office, upcoming rising stars and front office managers, where we promote receptionists to reach their goals, to move up the next step, to become managers. There is a competition that's held once a year, which is the Receptionist of the Year competition. I remember a radio show called us The Edge, and they were like, so what does the Reception of the Year do? How fast can you staple a document? And I laughed.
How generic.
Didn't take it personally, just laughed. But there's a whole bunch of criteria involved, like sales and marketing techniques, how you upsell, what's the KPIs, what's the turnaround room to clean a room, how quick you can check in a person, problem solving when there are issues faced, because we all know that there's issues out there. When I became a front office manager, I chose one of my new receptionists, and I told her, hey, we're going to Paris. And she was like, what do you mean? Well, there is this competition and we're going to enter it. And she was like, great. But I said that in passing.
Yeah.
She was the third runner-up in New Zealand. Third runner-up in the North Island. And we moved into the countrywide. And she had won that as the best receptionist in New Zealand. Moving on, we had gone to Paris to compete internationally against 19 other countries. It's quite recognized in other parts of the world. It's still up and coming in New Zealand. And we had come as the second runner-up in the world, beating the likes of Morocco, Dubai, French Riviera, Singapore. It was an amazing achievement. So coming back with that title was really an exciting experience, not just for me, but for my receptionist. My company had also sent me to Paris to be there with her every step of the way. Because as my manager put it, you've groomed her from the beginning, so we want you to be there with her.
Tough gig. Tough gig.
So we went to Paris for 10 days.
Wow. That's cool. What year was that?
That was in 2017.
Awesome. Yeah.
Coming back to New Zealand and just celebrating her, celebrating the achievements, watching a world of opportunities open. We also get to promote the company, and it was City Life Hotel then. Promote the brand, just lots of sales and marketing involved.
How do you? So she came third runner-up in New Zealand. So what changes and like improvements were made to go to? Because you went from third to second, and then to second globally. What the hell? Like, because that doesn't. I thought you would have had to win. You know, that's pretty cool. Like to be able to get there like that.
So when the competition first starts, it's divided between the North Island and the South Island. So all the hotels in the North Island get together and have a competition, talking about sales and marketing, as I mentioned, and just different criteria. And they choose the top 3. And then the North Island the South Island have their competition between all their hotels, and they choose their top 3. So the top 6 compete together. There's a judging panel from AUT, a hotel person, a lecturer, and we get to see the person shine. Problem-solving techniques, there's role-play exercises, there's a Q&A section.
Was there anything specifically that she improved on along the way to go from confidence? Yeah.
Confidence.
Yep.
We look at little things as who steps out from behind the desk to help the situation. This is the hotel, these are what you have in front of you, and this is the issue that's faced. Who comes up with the best idea to try to fix this issue for the best outcome?
Right.
People always give their feedback. There's, as I said, a judging panel. When you go internationally, it's a whole different ballgame, because you've got international hotels, international judges. The way you speak, you've judged not just on the competition, but the moment you land and you start speaking to other people, the way you dress, the way you carry yourself, how sociable you are. Whole array of criteria.
It's a real real performance aspect to it, eh? Like, and it's I guess you've got to have that bit of theatricality to really ice the cake, I guess. Yeah.
You need to have a voice. You need to shine.
Yeah.
Without being overpowering or not hiding under a rock as well.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I've never seen a good receptionist that was hiding under a rock. Right. So are there other awards like that, like happening now that you're sort of wanting to get involved with again?
The Reception of the Year competition is still ongoing. I had the year after brought forward another receptionist of mine. She unfortunately did not win New Zealand, but she was the second runner-up in New Zealand. Another colleague of mine had gone to Germany to compete against the world. The most recent one was a receptionist that I had hired from the Hotel Britomart, and he had gone through and won New Zealand and went abroad to Baden-Baden and competed there internationally. He wasn't placed, but just to go abroad and winning New Zealand was a great achievement. Aside from that was, Tourism New Zealand have their yearly hotel awards, and I was nominated in 2018 and awarded the best front office services for New Zealand. And that was a huge achievement and humbling experience, being a front office manager and getting this prestigious award on stage in front of all the bigwigs of the hotel industry. I feel that was a turning point in my career, and that's when it was a sense where, wow, you actually get recognized in New Zealand, not by the color of your skin, but more of what you do.
For who you are.
Yeah.
Who you are and how you do what you do. Yeah, and that's what you should be, not judged on. I guess we can't say judged, but that's what you should be. That's how people should take you. Yeah, man, that's so cool. Like I love hearing about people that have put themselves out there and won awards and things, and you know, some those awards can be quite life changing, I'd imagine, like, because people, as soon as you're on other people's radar, it's like, you know, there must be offers and all sorts of things happening with that.
That's very true. After I got the front office services award, that's when So Hotel saw me on stage and approached me, and they wanted me to be the face of So Hotel, which was the first So Hotel in the Southern Hemisphere, flagship property used on the commercial, advertising, magazines. So it was really cool property. Unfortunately, COVID had hit, and stuff had happened along the way, and I moved along to the Hotel Britomart, which was the construction site. Managed to hire a whole team during COVID, train everybody up, get that hotel opened up, was featured in the Britomart magazine, and then moved to Pacifica.
And literally did the same again. Yeah, that's right. Because I mean, you know, that was back in the very early days of Pacifica. You were there a few months before we were, but yeah, there was a lot of things that needed to be done, you know, and and you've done a great job in pulling that team together, and, you know, dealing with a bit of you know, staff movement that we've had in the last 6 to 12 months, and, you know, and maintaining that standard there, and just maintaining that vibe. I think that that the owners and residents in Pacifica have gotten really used to.
Yes.
You know, that's a lot of that's down to how you and your team are handling that lobby and that point of entry, and, you know, and providing that customer service. So
vital.
It's massive, like, and I think, you know, that's where the concept of Pacifica, it is different, and I don't think anyone could go in there and do what you've done. Like, you've definitely put the, you know, the 5-star touch on it in ways that I don't think, you know, other people would have. You know, they might have just gone a bit more generic, try to be more like a hotel, but you've personalised it. So I think, you know, people down there are really lucky to have you as part of their lives and in their home, essentially.
It's genuine from the heart. Getting to know people, it makes the world of difference. It's building trust.
Yeah, no, totally. Well, Neil, it's been awesome to chat with you about career, 5-star service and things. I know you've got a big trip planned back home I shouldn't say back home, back to South Africa, to see the family for Christmas and New Year's and things. You're clearly looking forward to that?
So looking forward to that. Haven't seen my parents and my family for 5 years.
Wow.
So really just want to give them a big hug and have an amazing trip away.
Well, this is probably going to come out sometime in January, so
you'll
keep an eye out for it. Yeah, what's the date today? It's early December.
Yeah.
6th of December, whatever it is, 7th. Yeah, mate, so appreciate the chat about all these different things that we've been talking about. There's the friggin' fire alarm. We better wrap it up.
That's us. Go on.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Thank you.